Struggler is a hard-hitting, rules-light role-playing game. This is dark fantasy intended to be played by adults. Characters will die, become maimed or traumatized, and take on a morally gray role as they are forced to contend with a harsh world of pain and despair. And yet, there is always hope. The only reason to struggle is to have some reason to live. A character's dream, purpose, and loved ones must be remembered lest they lose their way to the idea of evil. Struggler was developed by an expert team consisting of me. Over the grueling course of 8 hours, I'm going to show you the rules and how you can try it out for free. But first, how did I get here? Why am I doing this? The first video on my channel actually sought to answer the question, can you play D&D in the setting of Berserk? Many fans have pointed out, and some have complained, that late Berserk looks a lot more like a D&D campaign than the solo dark fantasy journey of early Berserk, and I wanted to address that. Later on, I wound up running a Berserk D&D campaign with some internet randos that wound up being a bunch of really cool dudes, and you can explore that entire adventure on my channel if you're curious. It worked out pretty well. It was one of my best campaigns, but there was still something missing. Something about 5th edition D&D that didn't completely jive with the world of Berserk. Years later, I was playing Dragon Age the Veilguard. That made me want to go back and replay all the other Dragon Age games to interact with this dark fantasy question. I just completed my first Sinnr campaign, also on my channel, and I had recently been watching videos by Murphy Napier, Amber Elise, and the always reliable real-life Ryan about Berserk, and then it dawned on me, why don't I try to make a tabletop role-playing game inspired by Berserk, but incorporating some of my favorite mechanics from different board games, role-playing games, and video games. That's how we get to Struggler, and here's how we play. Every character in Struggler has 4 stats: strength, speed, wit, and guile. Your power translates into the number of dice in your pool assigned to each of these 4 stats. Whenever it's time for a contest to be made against another character or against the world, you roll your dice pool. If the result lands in your favor, you will inflict wounds on your enemy, and if you inflict enough wounds to take away all of their dice from any one stat, they will face a consequence. For example, Corcus and Rickert are sparring. Corcus has the upper hand with his superior speed and strength. He attacks Rickert with a wooden sword, choosing to use 3 speed. Rickert tries to anticipate his strike with 3 wit. They each roll 3d12. Corcus rolls 4, 8, and 11 for a total of 23. Rickert rolls 2, 3, and 12 for a total of 17. The difference is 6. Rickert takes 1 wound for losing and an additional wound for the wound threshold being broken.
Ha! You see, kid? Griffith should have listened to me. No brats on the battlefield. Don't worry, kid. I'll still let you cook dinner for me and the real men when we win the fight.
Rickert is hurt, but not dissuaded. He removes 1 speed die and 1 wit die from his pool. On his turn, he chooses to attack Corcus using his wit. Rickert rolls 3d12 for wit, while Corcus rolls 2d12 for his strength, trying to save face by powering through the child soldier's insults. The real men are fighting, but are you sure you're one of them? Griffith could have named you an officer, but instead, you're dueling little boys in the pig pens. Rickert rolls 1, 7, and 10 for a total of 18. Corcus rolls 1 and 6 for a total of 7. The difference is 11. Corcus takes 3 wounds as a result of underestimating Rickert's wit. He takes 1 die from guile, 1 from speed, and 1 from strength. He has 1 strength, 2 speed, 1 wit, and 1 guile. He can continue sparring, but he has to wonder what consequences he'll face if he loses to this boy. Now, this is all happening with a pool of D12s, my personal favorite die, and somewhere on the middle of the dice chain. If that's a little too big of a number for you, or you want a more grounded experience, I included a variant rule where you can play with, say, a pool of D6s or D4s, or if you want even more random chance and you have too many spin down D20s, you can just play with those. This allows you to customize the game for you and your table. and we'll see a few more variants like that later on, but first I need to talk about consequences. If your character takes enough wounds, but not enough to die, they will roll twice on the consequence table and choose between the two results. The results include traumatize, humiliate, cripple, maim, destroy, violate, rob, expose, doom, evict, ransom, and curse. I do include a safety note here. Like Berserk, Struggler is meant for a mature audience and contains content which some may find sensitive. This is a brutal dark fantasy, but trauma to a character should never cross the line into being triggering for the player. Narrators should consult with their players about the consequence table to see if certain options should be replaced. However, if the consequence table as a whole is too heavy to roleplay, please consider playing a different RPG. Character creation occurs in 6 main steps. First, you'll create a concept for your character. Something like a duelist or cavalier, or maybe even an eloquent rags-to-riches swordmaster or no-nonsense domineering horse girl. Then you'll pick your fire. Your character should have a dream, a desire, or a loved one which guides them through their struggles towards a destination. This is their fire, their bright light in the night sky of the world, like, I will rule my own kingdom, I will find a fight willing for my sword, or I will be the shield to the one who saved me. Then you get your power. This goes back to the dice. Everybody starts with 9 power, meaning you can start with 2 in each stat except for one stat, which is going to be nice out of 3. But you can adjust the stats however you want, as long as no stat goes below 1 and no stat goes above 5. Then you get some talents, which I'm very excited to show off later. You start with 4 talents for your character, plus a bonus based on your wit. Then you'll choose some bonds, and finally, you'll make an introduction. Let's see what all that looks like with Rickard. Your concept is a boy genius inventor forced to be a child soldier out of desperation. His fire isn't some grand vision quite yet. For now, it is just, I will serve the band of the Hawk. You assign Rickard 1 strength, 3 speed, 3 wit, and 2 guile. For talents, you pick out Pet to give him a horse, Armor Master to keep him alive, and Crafter with the Master upgrade to play up the genius inventor concept. Because of your high wit, you also add Inspect with the Inspect group upgrade. Your bond is with your tools and your fellow soldiers, the family who has adopted you. For your introduction, at your first chapter, you read, "The small blonde child before you can't be older than 12. Despite being found in a band of mercenaries, his friendly expression and twinkling eyes settle your nerves. Hey," he says, "that thing you did with your sword was amazing. Can I see the counterweight on that thing?" You get it. There's lots of different characters you can make in the world of Berserk, and one of the best things you can do is just try to recreate and play the role some of your favorite side characters. You can play out stories in Berserk, but ask questions like, what if Guts wasn't here? What if Griffith didn't do Griffith things? Or, what if Farnese was actually competent as a Holy Iron Chain commander? There are 3 kinds of scenes that can occur in the course of a chapter, which is my name for your session of this role-playing game, and multiple chapters come together to form an arc. This is your adventure. You see where we're going with this. Anyway, the scenes can consist of rest, conversation, and of course, action. There's a good number of rules with action, however, it's a lot simpler than some other RPGs you might be used to. Your character's actions take course over their turn, or what I'm calling their page. Their number of actions are described as panels, and yes, you can combine multiple actions together for a full panel. Anyway, the different actions you can take consist of engage, bombard, move, help, sense, and command. I'll leave all the details for that later. The spiciest rule in this game is causality. Causality is a force within Berserk, and it should be a force within your game. Sometimes the hand of fate determines the direction of a character, changing the course of a given panel. Causality begins in the hand of the narrator. They may use that causality to force a player's roll to immediately fail, or their own roll to immediately succeed with a +10 bonus. Once this decision is made, the causality is handed to the player who initiated the contest. That player may now use causality in precisely the same way as the narrator, handing it back when complete. This initiates a roll on the omen table, and the narrator may not use causality for the rest of the chapter. If a player resists temptation and holds on to causality for the entire chapter without using it, the entire party gains +1 experience. Now, this is cool, and if your table wants even more control over the narrative and wants to really play up this mechanic, I included a variant rule where rather than the narrator starting with 1 causality point, each player starts with 1 causality point. And you can see, based on the D100 Omen table, that there's a lot of very serious things that can happen as a result of interacting with causality in your game. While the base rules of the game are pretty simple, the complexity as well as the unique expression of your own character is going to come through in the talents, and if I do say so myself, I kind of cooked here. Just to show you a quick rundown of everything, and you can pause on certain talents. We've got Massive, Pet, Charming, Quick, Clever, Inspect, Weapon Master, Armor Master, Flight, Regenerate, Healer, Ranged Master, Fire Spirits, Wind Spirits, Earth Spirits, Water Spirits, Poison, Alchemy, Fated, Defiant, Mercenary, Crafter, Leader, Tactician, Cliffeth Touched, Astral Touched, Elf Touched, Assassin, Charger, Defender, Holy Touched, Martial Artist, and Tumbler. And just based on that short list, I bet you can start making some combinations between rich talents and upgraded talents you can combine to make either your favorite Berserk character or your own dark fantasy creation. And if you're not sure exactly what that would look like, I have included 6 sample characters. We have the Knight, Adon. We have the Scout, Gaston. We have the Whore, Luca. We have the Noble, Roderick. We have the Witch, Morta. And we have the Apostle, motherfucking Zod! Now, bear in mind that I limited myself to only 8 hours for version 1.0 of this product. I'm pretty proud with what I accomplished here, and I'm interested in feedback before I work further, but I can already tell that this could use some formatting and aesthetics updates. It needs an edit and some game language consistency. I can spend some time fine-tuning certain talents in the experience system. I could provide more sample characters and a nicer looking character sheet. And I also wanted to include some pages on how to be the narrator or game master, how to run a session 0 for this system, and describing the abstract action system for those of us who are more mechanically minded and less about the flavor. But that's all for later. Let's talk about now and how you can access Struggler, the Berserk-inspired tabletop role-playing game. Look in the description below and click the link to the 26-page Google document. This is yours under 2 conditions. Number 1, you are required to leave a comment on this video. It doesn't have to be anything lengthy or even your thoughts on the system. It can just be something simple like, "Thanks, dude," or "Looks gay, bro." Number 2, I am putting this information out there for free. Berserk and the community have given a lot to me. This is my tiny way of giving back, and I have no intention of monetizing it. So don't copy-paste this onto your own work with the intention of profiting off it. That would be a dick move. If you have more questions, or you want to give me feedback other than in the comments section of this video, my DMs are open. You can email me at truesightdnd@gmail.com. And that's all I'm going to say for now. May your fire never fade. Bye-bye.